Okay, and we're live. I almost went over there to find out why the camera wasn't turning on. So hello everybody, my name is LauraJHall, and you're in my kitchen here in Daphne, Alabama. And I really want to start off with saying Happy New Year, and it was so wonderful to hear from so many of you who have been following the cooking show and wishing me Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, my family, and just the beautiful messages. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of support that we have. So with that said, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm so happy that you're here joining us. And if this is the first time you're here in this community, what we do is we come live every Friday, and we love, love, love to say hello, who we are, where we're from, just being a part of the community, and we get to kind of know one another, especially those people who are regulars that come to the show all the time. So if you want to go ahead and do that, say hello, who you are, where you're from. And if you're watching this on one of the pages that we've shared the show with, feel free just to click over to my page and say that so that you get entered to, we do all kinds of fun things. So just go ahead and do that. And the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to go ahead and hit that share button. We are going to have this incredible recipe. In fact, if you've been following me, you know it's time for me to hit that saute button. So I'm going to start that off right now. Saute. We have saute. There we go. Just going to get these ready, get them ready and hot. So what we do every Friday, we come live and we share my favorite recipes. We share family favorite recipes. We share new recipes that I've been creating. And we've been doing a lot of creative things because a lot of my clients have been asking for vegan, vegetarian dishes. And so the recipes that I've created, I've now been converting a lot of them to make them even uber more healthy. So I just love that about this show. And I love that so many people have just been following along. So go ahead. I know you're wondering, well, what is it that we're making today? So we're doing some black-eyed peas. We're going to be doing them a vegan style. And we're also going to be doing them in a pressure cooker, as well as we have them on the back here that have been cooking for a very long time, because when you do black-eyed peas, especially when you come from the dry beans themselves, they take a little bit of time. So, but they're always the best when they take a long time. But of course, if you have a pressure cooker, and we have two different devices here. We have the InstantPot, and I have the MEALTHY pot. Now, I have a couple other pots in the house, but these are my favorite pots to cook with. So that's the one that we're going to be, those are the two that we're going to be using. In the InstantPot, we're going to do the vegan style. And in the MEALTHY pot, we're going to have a little bit of just, non-vegan. So more of the traditional. Okay, so don't forget to say hi, who you are, where you're from. This recipe is so incredible. It's one of the things that we make, and I know I'm here in the South, so when I went to go do the Come Shop With Me, which we do that live every Wednesday, so that if you wanted to cook with me, you're more than welcome to. So when we show you what's in the cart on Wednesday, I was there on Wednesday, and of course it's right after New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and there was not one bag of black-eyed peas for me to be able to pick. There weren't any ham hocks. I mean, the bone broths that I wanted weren't there. It was just like, it was a crazy madhouse. So, but luckily the truck came in, and I was able to pick some things that weren't there on Wednesday. Anyway, so let me go ahead and show you what's been cooking in the slow cooker, because there are a lot of people who follow me that love cooking still in the slow cooker. And so I love to make sure that the recipe is included so that you can know how to do it with both of them. Now, the recipe, because we're using a Mevo camera, I can't actually put the recipe in the post, but as soon as we're done with the video and we're done with the show, I'll go ahead and post that right in the link. So you'll have every ingredient, the right amounts, and you'll be absolutely fine. But let's go ahead and take a look at what's been cooking. Oh, and those of you who love these recipes, this is a great recipe for the playoff weekend, which is the sweet Go Bears. Now, I mean, go any team, but we are Bear fans. So, all right, so in this wonderful slow cooker, we have had these black-eyed peas. They have been cooking for 8 hours, or rather 4 hours on high. And I still have them on high right now because I'm just playing with, I haven't done them on high the entire time normally, and this is how I wrote the recipe. I'll do them on high for 4 hours and then do low for 2 hours. But I thought I would like to see what actually happens, because when I do it on low for the 2 extra hours, I'll keep the lid off. So I'm just playing around with it a little bit, but right now, if you take a look at how beautiful this is, this broth is just so wonderful. And they're just about ready to, they're soft enough. And if you like things that are firmer, you're gonna use a little less time at cooking them. But these are, oh, my glasses are steaming up. So they're so, it just smells heavenly. If you could just smell these. I love black-eyed peas. They're a great snack. They're such a great bean or pea to have with any meal, and pour them over rice, over cauliflower rice. It's just a really, really great recipe. Okay, so that's the slow cooker version. Now, I have this question asked by me for all the slow cookers all of the time, and the question is, look, I don't have that saute feature on my slow cooker because I have one of the newer ones. So if you don't have that feature, it's so simple. You just do the saute pieces and you saute them on the stove. And so you do whatever the recipe calls for. If I have you saute and you don't have a saute feature, you just use your stove and then go ahead and start doing everything in the slow cooker. All right, so these are hot. So let's go ahead and get this started. We'll let that lid be off. They say hot, so it's going to be sizzling hot. So we're going to start each one. Now remember, the InstantPot here on the left-hand side, this one's going to be more the vegan, it will be the vegan style. This is going to be the traditional style if you're not really concerned about any of the vegan aspects. So what we're going to begin with is we're going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Whenever I do cooking, everything that I love to do, I do it with a non-GMO product, I do it with organic whenever possible, and those are really important features. So that's what I'm going to start off with. I'm just going to coat the bottom a little bit because I actually have in the garlic that I've created, I have a little bit of garlic olive oil in there. It's just not enough, so I'm just adding a smidgen more into the pots. So if you look in this is a roasted garlic, and I love how wonderful the roasted garlic really tastes. And it just gives a umami flavor for everything, really deep leveling of flavors. And so that's what's really good about this. So we're going to go, we have there's about 8 cloves here. You can use less or more. We tend to be on the spicy side of our family. So we're going to go ahead and pop those in. I was thinking I was going to splash back at me because these are really hot pot, which is great. You want to have your pots nice and hot. Okay, so we're going to stir that around a little bit. Grab my wood spoon so it doesn't make too much noise. Okay. Ooh. Oh, already smells great. And now we have some jalapeno that's diced, some sweet onion, a red bell pepper, and some celery. So we're going to go ahead and pop those in. And those can all be added at the same time. We're going to give that a good stir. Oh gosh, there is nothing better than having roasted garlic smell in your home. People walk in and they're like, oh my God, it already smells so good. All right, let's dump those in. So we're going to saute these for just about 5 to 7 minutes. Go ahead and give those a good stir. And while we're letting those saute, we're going to add in our spices. I hope everybody had a really wonderful holiday. I know I did. My time with my family is so very precious. My children are grown and, they've flown the nest, so to speak. They live together, which is wonderful. I mean, how lucky is that? That I am, that they love each other enough that they can live with each other after graduating college, right? But I'm so fortunate to have had them we had them 8 days. It was just blessed, peace, wonderful. It was just so great. All right, so while it's sauteing, we're gonna add in some spices. So what we wanna do is, I have a couple of different spices that I'll show you some options that you can go with. But again, when you're doing spices, you really wanna do fresh whenever possible, but then if it's not fresh and organic, then you go ahead and go to your organic non-GMO. So GMO is genetically modified organisms, okay? So we don't want to have those into our diet. We don't even know the science behind all the GMOs and what wreaking havoc they're creating on our bodies. We just don't. Non-GMO, always organic whenever possible. Okay, so we have some fresh herbs that we have here that we're going to add in. We have some rosemary, oregano, and some thyme. So I'm going to save the thyme, and I've already done them, and I'm going to pop them in so that they can get sauteing right here with these fresh vegetables. And in the recipe, I tell you how much is called for. Beautiful. Sorry if that's a little loud, because I know we have the camera a lot closer this time. I'm trying to get it so that you can hear me really well and not too much of an echo and actually see the pots. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the dry spices now. So I have two different spices when I was doing the Come Shop With Me. You can either do the Italian spice or the herb of the Provence. Now, my husband can say it because he lived in France for a little while, but I always just say the herbs of Providence, but that's wrong. So he'll be, if he's out there listening, he'll be cracking up at me. But you know, you gotta have some fun, right? In the kitchen, who doesn't have any fun? If you can't laugh at yourself, you know, what the heck? You know, you just have to be able to laugh. So I'm gonna use, because this one has a little marjoram, that's really the difference between the two. And this one, the Italian seasoning has oregano. And again, it really makes, it's not going to change the recipe considerably because you're not using a lot of it. Okay, now what we are going to use is some black pepper. And yes, you're seeing me where I'm not actually measuring. I'm not a measure kind of person. You'll know that about me, but I actually have the right call of the measures if you're really intense on measures. But you know, for us, because we like spice, you know, the amount that I call for, you may not want to have. So that was Japanese 7 spice, so I forgot to show you. Okay, now we do need to have 2 bay leaves. So we're going to put 2 in there, and 2 in there, and it looks like, well, that's it. That's all there is. So it's 2.5 in that one. We'll have to get a new one. Now we have some crushed red pepper. Better keep stirring this guy before. Woo. You know what? That is almost looking perfect. It's actually, I'm really glad I waited for it to heat up. Normally I don't wait as long. So that's good. Okay, some crushed red pepper. I think I'm going to turn off the saute feature so that they don't burn. So cancel. Just let them continue to cook in there. And then now we have some cayenne pepper. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. Some of you might like this recipe to be less spicy than others, but a little bit of cayenne just really does take it over the notch. You know, sometimes black-eyed peas are really kind of bland, depending on where you go. So if you don't like things too bland, then a little dash of cayenne is just going to spice it up a little bit. But the jalapeno pepper, because I don't take the seeds out, of course, most people do take the seeds out because it takes the heat away, but I don't, because we just, like I said, we love spice. So that'll be something that you make a choice of. So then we have some ground cumin. Now ground cumin really makes these beans pop with flavor. So cumin is just one of those spices I love, love, love. And then we have one final spice, and that is our Hungarian Paprika. Now you can use a smoked paprika too, but because I'm using some balsamic vinaigrette, I went away from the smoked. Okay, so now we're going to add a little bit of balsamic vinaigrette. I really like this particular brand. It's, I'll just hold it up so you can read it. De Nigris or De Nigris. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it great. But what I love, what is so great about this is that it's, again, the no GMO. Love that it's no GMO. And there's no caramel added. So it's a really clean, clean balsamic vinaigrette. So good. All right. And so you can see the recipe really is very, very similar for the traditional versus the vegan, vegetarian. All right. It's time to get some liquid in this pot. So for the vegan pot, what we're doing is we are adding in, this is my favorite vegetable broth. It's called Pacific. I'm going to add it in right now because this pot is super hot. You're going to need the full 32 ounces. And I use 32 ounces for every 2 cups of beans, 2.5 cups of beans. This one has a little bit more. So I've got 2 cups of beans that I'm going to put in this particular one. So for every 2 cups of black-eyed peas, you're going to use 32 ounces of the liquid. A lot of people like to use water. I don't. I think that the broth adds such a spectacular flavor. And I love this particular broth because it's non-GMO and it's organic and it's low sodium. One thing I love is when you pick up Pacific, it really is clear how much sodium is on it. You read your labels. That's a really important thing to do because we really don't need to have that much sodium. And in fact, it comes out because these are so flavorful right now. I would normally add some pink Himalayan salt, and I think I'll do that at the end so that I know that it doesn't come out too salty. I'm not a fan of having too much salt. All right, so we're ready to add the black-eyed peas. So simple, so easy. All right, so we'll go ahead and pop those in. I know this is 2 cups, so I don't have to worry about that. And I'm gonna give them just a nice little stir. Oh, yeah, that looks just fantastic. All right, so for the traditional, we're gonna go ahead and add in, we're doing a little bit of both. Now, when I was at the store, they were out of the beef broth that I used. I used the Pacific beef broth. They didn't have the Pacific beef broth, but they had the turkey broth, so that was good. So you use about 16 ounces of the turkey, and my preference is to use beef broth, and this one is my second go-to. It's Kitchen Basics. It's my second go-to when I can't get the Pacific. But if you can't get the beef broth, like I couldn't get it, you can always use your chicken broth. So really you choose what you'd like to have. But it's gotta be bone broth. That's specific. That is one of the things that's all about gut health, and I always post about gut health, so you can take a look at some of the posts that I make on gut health. Sometimes I'll actually even put it in the post. Yeah, there's 16 ounces in here. Sometimes I'll even put it in the post, like in the comments, because you see pictures at the end of the show when we actually, put it out how we actually serve it. You'll see I'll post something about gut health. Sometimes even the people who are watching will go out and find something that I've posted before and they'll put it in. So whichever is good. But gut health is really one of those things that I'm all about gut health. And bone broth is one of those things that is really great for having great gut health. So I'm going to use 16 ounces of beef broth in this particular one. And the reason why I'm doing exactly the same, I'm doing it exactly the same as that guy, because I like to see, hey, which one under pressure, was that better? Or was it better low and slow? And, well, that was not quite low and slow because we did 4 hours of fast cooking. But, it's still slow cooker versus, the 15 minutes that it takes for this to actually cook. Now, obviously, it takes, in the MEALTHY pot, it doesn't take as long to pressurize as it does in the InstantPot, but it's just because it's a little bit of a different design. All right, and we'll add our black-eyed peas. And that's it, people. That is the recipe. How simple is that? So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on these. Oh, yes. Beautiful. So I'll put the lid on so we can get them started. You want to make sure your lids are in the closed position. Make sure that your knob is in the closed position. And we're going to set the manual. We're going to hit it for manual. Pressure cook. And I'm going to set it for 17 minutes. We like ours a little bit softer. The recipe I wrote is 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and, we like them a little bit more bold, not as tight. So, I'm having the trouble with the right word. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for here. Closed position. Both of those are ready to rock and roll. And I'm going to hit manual. Oh my goodness, the last thing I cooked in here was our pork stew, so I've got to turn that one way down. Okay, it'll kick on. So that's it. That's how easy the recipe is. So 15 minutes in the pressure cooker if you want to have, little, harder beans, black-eyed peas. or if you like them a little bit more soft and round and a little more plump, it's really your preference. But I love the fact that you can just pop in dried beans, just rinsed. We just rinsed the dry peas, black-eyed peas, and they're done so quickly. So years ago, when I used to cook them on stovetop, I would, pre-cook or, overnight, 24-hour soak, and then if you didn't do that, you had to pre-cook them on high for 2 hours, and then rinse them, and, just a whole host of things. But now, when you think about doing low and slow, or you think about doing the fast pot, it's just so much easier. Life is just so easy when you can do it this way. And that's what happened to us on New Year's. When I made this on New Year's, in one pot I did the black-eyed peas, but in the other pot, I ended up doing the pork stew. We have pork. Oh, speaking of pork, hello. What am I thinking? In the traditional, we actually have to add a ham hock. I'm so glad I'm sitting here talking about pork stew. So just pop that ham hock in there. They didn't have the ham hocks when I got it today, actually. So there we go. You can just open it up if you forget something before it actually pressurizes, and it'll still keep going. So anyway, if you want to have additional items in here, a lot of people like to put bacon in. I think the ham hock gives enough saltiness and enough flavor of ham that it really isn't necessary to add actual bacon. So I skipped the bacon. Although when I did the Come Shop With Me, if you were the one that went out and bought that bacon that I showed you, all you have to do is chop it up into fine pieces and put it in. I just chose not to because we're going to use these beans, black-eyed peas, for something fun on football Sunday. So, all right, everyone. That is all there is for this particular show. We do have one other thing, and that is if you hit that share button, we always gift away MEALTHY Pot. MEALTHY Pot has been so gracious to give us a coupon. We get a great deal on them, and I've inspired so many people to either get an InstantPot over the last, well, I guess for the last year and a half, we were just giving InstantPots away, but now we're giving away the MEALTHY Pots, and so, I just love it, and I love that we can be so giving, and so many people are wondering what, they're breaking down. People who are on my team, they're breaking down. They're getting their pressure cookers so that they can cook with me, and I just love it. So I so thank you all for all of your great comments. But over here, I have the hat for those people who shared the last 2 shows. Well, it was last show, which was 2 weeks ago, and then I shared the pork stew recipe because it was just on my feed. So good luck to whoever entered. If you didn't enter, I'm really sorry for your luck because there were very few people. It was the holiday, right? So very few people, they're so busy with their family, they didn't share the show, but there were a couple smart people who did. So I can't look. I gotta stir those up a little bit. Good luck to whoever wins. What a great New Year's gift. Oh, there's one stuck together. Okay, so I got the one that was stuck. Okay. Good luck. All right, and it is Kelly Reynolds. Oh my gosh, Kelly, congratulations. Gosh, girl, you haven't won in a very long time for anything. I'm so excited for you, and you're always such a great supporter. So I'll be sending you a message. Congratulations, Kelly. And we'll see you next week. Next week, we're going to do another traditional good luck kind of, but multiple use stewed tomatoes. That's what's going to be on the recipe, on the menu for next week. If you have any favorites that you would like me to give a try, I love to hear feedback from everyone. So please feel free to give me some feedback, share the love, hit some heart emoji while you're watching the show, and just say hello, who you are, where you're from, being a part of the community. And I thank you all so much for your support, for your love, and my love back to you. Have a wonderful weekend if you're watching football, because this is like the fun part of football. Well, football is really fun for me for everything, but a lot of people are really excited because it's the playoff week. So, all right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week. Okay.